I remember something I said to you back in the day, and
What?
like I think I was like, I know you don't like me. And I remember Devin going like, no, I have no problem with you. And I was like, no, I just get this feeling. And remember, ADHD, there's like this rejection, sensitivity, dysmorphia stuff.
And that time in our lives is
that's so real.
Insecure time.
And I also wasn't told that I was going to be called the huge crew when I went on.
Oh, so
and
that
I remember
impacted
you mentioning it on one of the pods earlier.
Yes.
And I said, I am so... Can I cuss on here?
Yeah.
I'm so fucking glad that Lindsay at least acknowledged it because it fucked me up.
Okay, that's what I wanted to say because I didn't know like quite the right way to like lay it down. I didn't know if it was like
because it wasn't your experience.
No, you said it
because it wasn't my
perfectly.
experience, but it was something that I like look back on and I was like, okay. And so when you found that out, like did it hit you like a gut punch? Did you kind of
gut punch
like
for sure? Yeah. I think every woman kind of has their long history of like body image issues and I come from a long line of an extended family with bad relationships with food, either one way or the other, obsessive wise. And so that in addition to being 14 or 15 years old, and at first I was told I was coming on just to be the female version of Loomer.
Right.
And then all of a sudden this huge crew term started getting thrown around and I like didn't understand it. And then I just kind of got over it and moved on, but like it started to hit me, and I mean, I developed
it was. I'm so sorry.
No, go.
It was a very pointed reference.
Yeah, and I always tried to be like, well, maybe they mean like there's so many of, and I was like, no, like there's no other way, there's no other meaning to the huge crew than you know. And I had two actresses, Jeremy and Kathy, who. They were grown adults, though. I think they were in their
grown,
like 30s.
Yes, they were grown people.
And so it's possible that they, I just reached out to them like a week ago. And it's possible that they felt differently because as an adult actor, I feel like you have the ability to separate yourself from the character that you're playing.
Especially on a kid show, you're like, cool, the huge crew, I'm a grown person, whatever.
Now, fucking call me fat all day. I don't care. You know what I mean? Like, whatever. It's a job. A gig is a gig.
How isolating, though, for those two people to have been older than you and to not be having the same experience on set as you.
I also feel like it might have been different if you had been told in the breakdown, if it was upfront, like
totally
auditioning
different.
For the huge crew. Like, you would have processed it going into the audition, you know what I mean?
100%.
Yeah. I'm actually shocked that wasn't part of like your audition, you know,
just rewatching that was a little like I noted it. Like I was
the huge crew's a little rough of a name.
Yeah.
And so you say you developed a
eating disorder on set.
Pretty
gnarly one.
Sorry.
Yeah, I know. It's like I really wanted to I hear you guys talking and reminiscing on all of like the good times I know you guys have had. My time, unfortunately, wasn't as, flowers and daisies as everybody else's. Mine was kind of dark.
Yeah.
And so, and that was isolating in and of itself. And I feel like, I don't know, I've always kind of struggled to fit in. I think I just made myself more of an outcast, if that makes sense. Like I leaned into, I was like, I'll just avoid everybody. And so I kind of found myself like, I know you guys played games and like did all these parties and stuff. And all I remember is like hanging in my dressing room by myself.
Damn.
And it was really hard.
I thought you were too cool for us.
Yeah.
No, I mean, that was my perspective.
No, truly. Like my only memories were just like Jennifer was great. Jennifer was cool.
She came out
Jennifer
executed,
was
and
distant. Would come crush and then like was kind of distant from us.
I remember like a distance to her. You're super talented, but I remember not like knowing you very well. Like not feeling like there was a time like at cut that we really...
I feel like I tried, but it's very possible that I maybe just made it, I don't know, more uncomfortable for people.
I mean, I don't think it was uncomfortable for me. I just don't think that we had that, like, we're running up together at lunch and, like,
No.
You know?
And I loved working with you. Like, my scenes with you were my favorite.
Right?
Lindsay was, like, Lindsay off in between takes was my absolute favorite.
Yeah, baby.
No, and it makes sense now. It was never uncomfortable on our end. It makes sense now that you were feeling some type of way. So you were distant, but from your own kind of perception.
Being cast as that character.
True.
It's like, Because I hung out with Jeremy more than I hung out with you on set.
For
Like, I
sure.
remember me and Jeremy, like, but I think Jeremy, like, spent time in Long Beach, too. So I think we, like, drove up to set one time. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool.
But-
Yeah, I think she's moving back to Long Beach. I
she
probably
is?
shouldn't be, like, publicizing.
Oh,
Yeah.
Now everyone knows her
Address.
whereabouts.
Long Beach is huge, so good
It's
luck
a big
getting
place,
her, you
yeah.
know? But yeah, no, it was a really tough time.
Damn,
And
dude.
So then like when you would get called to be on an episode, because like there were a smattering of episodes that you did, right? So you'd get called to be on one. What was the feeling when you'd get called in? Was there an excitement mixed with like
I was
a dread?
always excited
Always
because I was
excited.
always, I love to work. I
Yeah.
love to
Yeah.
perform. Acting will always be my first love. And so it was just another chance to like get good at what I was doing. And I
Yeah.
felt like with each episode, I was learning more and more and more. But yeah, I feel like at a certain point, it felt a little bit uncomfortable just because I was like, I'm going into this environment and I feel, you know, I think you mentioned at one point you being covered up with jean jackets and stuff, and they would do that to me too. And I was like, so not only are they padding clothing on me, but then they're covering up like parts of my body I like.
right?
Like this is, and then I just always felt instinctively closed and like uncomfortable.
Right.
Dang.
And yeah, it got to a point, and then I don't know why I wasn't in the third season. That's another question I get all the time. I have presumptions, but it got pretty worse after that when I wasn't back for the third season, and I was like, my eating disorder like took a deep turn.
Wow.
But it was necessary. I mean, I think I needed that time to. I mean, this business in Hollywood gets rough, especially with that stuff, you know, and you lose a little bit of yourself the more you're in it, and you kind of lose sight of what matters. And it wasn't until I kind of removed myself from Hollywood for a little bit that I was like, oh,
Takes it.
I'm not some fat ogre. Like I'm out of my freaking mind.
right,
You know what I mean?
Dude, it blows my mind every time I travel away from LA. I actually get a little bit hit on then. Like it's a little bit like nice guys. Like, and I'm like,
probably
get hit
wow.
on a lot.
No, I promise you I don't. But like I totally understand the gauge of in LA. It's like, no, you're a beautiful person. You know what I mean? And people, You know,
you could be a
respond to
10
that.
anywhere else and you're 2 in LA. And
Exactly.
you're like, Jesus.
Whole world.
Yeah.
Whole world.
What is this?
And as
Like,
a young woman in the industry, like that's the hardest insecurity time anyway. In
Yeah.
any
For
place.
anybody of that age.
Those teenage years, like
That was
young
rough.
girl, young guy, like those are hard years, and then stack the fucking awareness of the industry on top of it. Nah.
It's insane.
What was the journey of your eating disorder, and how did you like find help for that?
My mom caught me. So I don't want to disclose my method because that's how I discovered mine. So I'm just not going to say what I did. But I will say I was taking about 60 pills a day. I was singing, like I got up because your body builds up a tolerance, and I'm probably giving some of it away, but like I was taking 30 pills in the morning, 30 pills at night, and my mom discovered this like trash bag of all of the like plastic wrappers of the pills I was taking because I didn't want to just throw them in the trash and have her discover them, so I like hid them in my closet. I remember coming home from like an audition one day, and she was like, they were out, and she was like, "We're getting you into therapy," which didn't necessarily help right then in the moment, but it definitely forced me to take a serious look at what I was doing. And I distinctly remember, like, there were some nights where I think it was causing me heart issues. And so I remember going, like, I'd be in my bathroom at night, like crying, hoping, begging, pleading to just wake up the next morning because I didn't know if my heart would just like give out.
Right.
And promising myself that if I woke up the next morning that I wouldn't do it again. And like having that nightly talk with myself and just going right back to it. And you're just like, wow, I learned absolutely nothing from that scare that I had. Cool. Awesome.
Yeah. What is it gonna take?
What is it gonna take? I'm not sure. And I think, you know, when I went to college, it got better. I mean, I went back and forth and then I finally, I think in like 2017 kind of went on a, okay, I'm going to do this for my health. I'm going to be whatever size I am, but I just want to have a good diet. I want to eat like, you know, and I want to just be healthy and active and strong. And that's how I did it. I can't really diet. Like fad diets are something I just can't do.
Yeah.
Like Ozempic's not going to be a thing. I'm just not taking or doing any of this crazy madness stuff.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I think it took me not being in the industry for a couple years to like get a break and realizing I can love myself and love my body in the way that it is and not really care. I mean, I didn't show like my midriff or my arms for like years. It wasn't until like 5 years ago that I was like ever could be seen in a tank top. It's why I dress in the way that I dress now.
And you
because
kill it.
Oh
Thank
my
you.
Your
God.
social media?
Thank you.
Yo,
I
I'll be like,
dress as an
hey.
apology to my younger self, you know?
Thanks so much for watching this clip of Ned's Declassified podcast survival guide. If you want to watch our full episodes, go over to the Ned's Declassified podcast survival guide YouTube channel. Also, if you'd like more bonus content and exclusive live streams, join our Patreon. All the links will be in the description here.